Hello guys and welcome back to the YouTube channel of Developers Club BCA. I am Adwait and today I will be teaching you about functions. So the first question comes, what's a function? A function is a group of statements that together perform a task. An example of it is the main function in any C program. You must have noticed while writing a program in C, you have to write a main function. The main function as the program execution starts from this function itself, right? A function has a calling name, parameters, and a set of code or instructions inside itself so that it can do the given task when called. What is the use of the function? The basic practical use of a function is to make the complete program small, can be used multiple times, and can be used in other programs. What I mean by this is if you are making a header file, a .h file, then you can use that very function in another program so that you don't have to declare it again. Function parameters. As I said earlier, function has a function name and parameter. All the variables that are declared inside the parenthesis or the first bracket. The first bracket is known to be the parenthesis in the words of programming, are known as parameter. Parameters are required if data is to be passed to the function for a task or to update the values. What I mean by this is, let's say you have a function to add, function for adding, right? So it will be function type, function name, and then open first bracket, then parameters, then closing brackets, right? So let's say the function name is adding and the parameters are two variables, int a comma int b. Multiple parameters can be given to the same function, or you can also not give parameters to that very same function while declaring the variable as a global variable. Parameters are required if data is passed to the function for a task or to update the values. What I mean by this is, suppose you have an adding function, right? Adding function for two variables. So you will have two parameters for it, that which are int a comma int b or anything that you want, and inside the function you will say int result equals to a plus b, right? And then print the result. What that will do is, when the function is passed, it will check for the parameters that are passed to it, right, while calling the function. Let's say for the function name add and parameters int a comma b, right? Int a comma int b. So how I will call the function is, I will write add first bracket or the parenthesis open, and then input a comma input b, right? And those two inputs, input a comma input b, will be then replaced with the parameters in the definition, in the function definition, that which were int a comma int b, and then the result will be calculated and then printed. Parameters are of two types: formal parameters with only the data type declared, and actual parameters are parameters with the data variables and data type declared. So there are mainly three ways to call a function: call by value, call by reference, and call by address. Call by value is nothing but calling a function while passing the variables directly. Here only the values are used for an operation. Call by reference or call by address, calling the function while passing the address of the variables. What call by reference is that when you call a function while passing the address of the variables rather than the variables directly, you are doing a call by reference. Here the values can be passed and then updated if needed. Let's have a look at an example. If you didn't understand what I said, then don't worry, I will be showing you all of this here, right? So let's start with a normal function. So when you make a function, it will look like this: a data type, the function will have a data type, a void, int, float or something, then the function name, and then the parameter. And inside this function there will be a block of code that you want to execute. So let's quickly make a function to add two variables. I will have them as a void data type, as they don't have to return anything. I will give the function name as add and then two parameters, namely 8a comma int b. Okay, so then inside the function I want to add the two variables and show it, right? So I will take a third variable right here, int result, and then assign the added values of A and B to it, and then print it. %d plus %d equals to %d, right? And then we will have a comma b comma result, and then semicolon. Okay, so let's make a main function right here, void main, and inside this function let's not declare anything and call the function and call the add function directly. Add, passing two parameters as a number, right? 5 comma 6 and semicolon. Let's comment this line out and let's run this. Right, here you can see 5 plus 6 equals to 11. What I have done here is in the parameter section I have passed 5 and 6 which correspond to the function definitions parameter int a and int b, and inside this function a result variable is there which stores the added result of the two parameters or the two variables that are passed, right? So this is an example of call by value where you are passing so now let's ask for the user input and then pass it. Right, so after I take the input of these two variables I will call the function add, right? And these two input variables will be then taken to the function definition, and then corresponding to a and b the result will be made and then printed. So let's run the code. First value will be 3 and then second will be 6. So here we see 3 plus 6 equals to 9. This was this one and the one before where I passed the integers directly are the example of call by value, right? So let's do call by reference. Call by reference, a good example for the call by reference would be a swap function with name value, right? And then and the swapping process will be done by this. Name equals to a equals to b, and then name equals to b. No, b equals to m, right? So what will it do is just store the value of a in temp, then in the next line it will replace the value of a with the value that is in b, and then in the last line it will replace the value in the variable b with the variable in temp which had the value of a, right? So as it won't print anything right here as I've not given it. So let's complete the program. Let's print it here. So now that we have printed the values of a and b after taking the input, that's after calling the function. And remember, in call by reference, you have to pass the variables as a reference, right? So using the address operator, we will pass the address of the two variables and then print. Let me just copy and paste the above line, right? Control B, and then let's run the program. So expected an int. Okay. So this, and I will have to remove it here. You have to give the address operator in the parameter in the function definition. Still I'm getting an error. Expected bracket. So in this program we have two pointer parameters and then doing the same swapping system. So this is a program for swapping two variables with using a third variable, right? In this program I have passed the variables address to the function's parameter, right? So it is known as the call by reference or call by address. Let's run it and giving it the input 1 and 2. A equals to 1, B equals to 2, A equals to 2, B equals to 1. There you have it. Thank you for watching. I'll meet you in the next video.